For more than a decade now, Outlander has held mooning fans enthralled, captivating with its time-traveling love story, historical drama, and very spicy sex scenes. And yet, given that it's based on a series of books by Diana Gabaldon, the show's ending is in sight, with its 8th and final season due out early next year. Jacob McKenzie, the leader of Clan McKenzie of Castle Leoch, passed away at the beginning of our story. His daughter Ellen is grieving over this loss as she sits next to his body. Mrs. Fitz later assists Ellen in getting ready for the funeral. Ellen wonders what's going to happen. Although her brothers Dougal and Colum would surely compete for the lordship, Jacob never nominated a successor. Then, we go back to a moment when Jacob gave Ellen a unique brooch and the Mackenzie plaid that men often wear. He promises that she won't ever have to wed for the clan. Currently, however, Mrs. Fitz brings up the topic of marriage. With her father no longer around, it may be inevitable for Ellen. On the day when Jacob is buried, Ellen declines to talk about this. During the funeral, we meet Ellen's sisters, Jocasta and Janet. Colum and Dougal join the action. The clan then carries Jacob to his final burial place while singing in Gaelic as they stroll across the highlands. Jocasta informs Janet that they should undoubtedly lead the funeral procession since they are married women. Ellen is ahead of her brothers. With them, her sisters are aware that she was always the favorite, of course. Ellen remembers playing chess with her father once more. If she's next on the marital chopping block, she asks him, is she an issue that has to be resolved? Jacob reveals that because chess requires preparation, he made sure Ned taught her and her brothers the game. A group of criminals later attempts to take cattle from the Mackenzies. The adversary is besieged from all sides by Dougal and his troops. As a warning, he even amputates a couple of the leaders' fingers. Ned goes on to say that their enemies would be more than pleased to see them die now that Jacob is gone. Ned is asked by Colum if he is aware of the clan's stance on his or Dougal's claim to the lairdship. Ned is aware that Jacob did not name an heir, and the majority of the clan's antagonists are unsure of which to pick. Colum then criticizes Dougal for being very impetuous and ready to use violence. He is not a skilled diplomat. Dougal responds that Colum is unable to walk normally. We then find Orseals outside the clan Fraser of Lovett's Castle Leathers. Murda tries to persuade Brian to attend the Mackenzie gathering with him. It will all be worthwhile for the girls, even though Brian's father detested Jacob and Mackenzies despise them. For the girls' sake, you must do it. They are invited in for dinner by Davina. They are honored by the presence of Lord Lovett, also known as Simon Fraser. Lovett celebrates Jacob's death. He is, after all, the one who took away Lovett's land and title. Lovett finds out that Murda chose to go to the event. The reason behind Murda's wish to honor the elder Miss Mackenzie and her sisters is explained, but Lovett is thinking of something else. He requests that Murda spy on the Mackenzies on his behalf. Murda is urged by Lovett to bring Brian along. Then dinner comes. Lovett is served by a new maid. It's Claire's mother, Julia Morriston. With the intention of doing something inappropriate, Lovett takes hold of her arm. He is stopped by Brian, who says the new maid is still learning the ropes. Davina observes from a distance. When Julia returns to the kitchen, Davina tells her not to be in the laird's company without her. It's to keep her safe. Later, as the clan gets ready for the event, Ellen and Colum stroll around the grounds. Ellen expresses her belief that Colum should succeed Clan Mackenzie as their next laird. Then the party starts. Dougal meets a redhead after playing a sport that resembles a hybrid of lacrosse and hockey. Tiny Angus and Rupert see through a crack in the door. They are caught and sent on their way by Ned. Through the door, Ned requests that Dougal oblige Colum with his presence once he is done. A man named James McKinney approaches Ellen and Colum outside and makes an attempt to win her over. To be more precise, he wants to gain the favor of the entire clan in order to exert control over them. Ryan and Murda show up at the event simultaneously. Murda appears completely enamored with Ellen when he spies her from a distance. Murda encounters Mrs. Fitz, his aunt. She tells her nephew not to go after Ellen. He can't compete with her. In addition, she has to deal with her brothers. In the meantime, a Clan Mackenzie member despises Brian's skill in axe throwing. The man says he has never seen hair as dark as Brian's in his life and doesn't recognize him. The man and his friends pursue Brian after he excuses himself. Until the situation is resolved, Brian chooses to hide in the stables. This is where Brian and Ellen first meet, in the stables. It's love at first sight, but neither discloses their identities. During the Tinchel search, Brian asks Ellen to meet him at the bridge. Following their departure, Dougal, Colum, and Ned greet the Grants, led by Isaac the Laird, at the event. The Grants are very, very rich, and they have the carriage to show it. Among them is a young archbug. Isaac's son Malcolm is carrying a torch for Ellen. With the Grants, Ned meets a Sassenach, an Englishman. It's Claire's father, Henry Beauchamp. Ned wants to know how Henry ended up in Scotland with the Grants. Now Henry is adamant that his name is Grant. To ease the tension, Ned suggests creating a bond of friendship between the clans. He then queries Henry on the fate of his predecessor. In the interest of the laird, Henry explains the guy left for the American colonies. It seems like the monarch is giving land to almost everybody in North and South Carolina. The Grants now use Henry as their scribe and counselor, the Bladier. The rest is history. He met Malcolm in Inverness. Ned then tells Colum what he has discovered. He doesn't think the cattle raid was planned by the Grants. The tinsel then starts. As Ellen rushes toward Castle Leoch, Murdo observes her. His interest in her is clocked by Jocasta. But rather than going after her, he becomes part of the chase. But not Malcolm. He asks Ellen if he can go back to the castle with her. She says she's all right. She wants to go back to her quarters because she doesn't feel well. Nevertheless, Malcolm follows her until she withdraws within the castle. Ellen then makes her way through the tunnels and ends up on the road that leads well beyond the castle. To meet Brian, she makes her way to the bridge. Malcolm realizes she lied to him when he sees her from a distance. He determines that the Grants should go back home. In any case, there's nothing here for him. After that, Brian and Ellen meet up again on the bridge. On either side of it stood our future lovers. It's strange that they're here without a chaperone, says Ellen. The bridge could be their chaperone, Brian suggests. When they appropriately identify themselves, they discover that they belong to different clans. Clans that loathe each other, hate each other, especially since they've agreed to keep seeing each other. They don't care who knows they're in love. The hunters later bring a boar back to the group. As Murdo washes his hands, Jocasta walks up to him. She extends a cloth to him. She goes on to discuss his interest to Ellen. Standing under her shadow is nothing new to Jocasta. Murdo replies that he doesn't know any Mackenzies who dwell in the shadows. Colum and Dougal ask Mrs. Fitz if she has seen Ellen in the interim. She reveals that other people witnessed her with Malcolm Grant. Dougal appears enraged. He gathers a team to look for Ellen and the Grants on the roadways. In essence, Colum encourages Dougal, and Ned picks it up right away. Colum is pulled aside by Ned, who warns that agitating Dougal could result in his death or the Grants' wrath. With a shrug, Colum says in either case, 'tis another problem solved. Colum plays nasty, huh? In another scene, Dougal and the others assault the Grants while they are traveling. Henry makes a few attempts. Malcolm discloses that Ellen isn't with them after Dougal beats the living daylights out of him. Malcolm says the clan won't forget this as the Grants set out on their homeward voyage. They had better keep an eye on the Mackenzies. Naturally, Ellen's brothers are annoyed when she gets home. Where had she gone? Ellen won't tell anyone where she is. Another memory involving Ellen and Jacob is brought back to us. Ellen questions why her father hasn't chosen a successor yet. Colum and Dougal each possess what the other does not, according to Jacob. But neither is truly fit to be a laird. He then jokes that he could make Ellen his successor. Ned and Colum then talk about what to do next. Colum set off the fuse, which infuriated Dougal, who then attacked the Grants. Colum has to extinguish the fire now. He will demonstrate to the clan that he is the legitimate laird by doing this. The topic of buttering up the Grants with a present comes up. Colum proposes Ellen and Malcolm as a married couple. However, Ned tells Colum that Jacob promised Ellen she wouldn't have to wed for the clan. We are now in the 1920s, which is the 20th century. In the Highlands of Scotland, Henry and Julia have an encounter. After that, they get into their vehicle and take a road trip across the nation. They discuss Claire's relationship with Uncle Lamb. Julia's pregnancy is revealed to us. Claire is going to be an older sister. A stag in the road causes Henry to abruptly swerve. Before the car hits a rock, he takes them off-road. Henry and Julia are thrown out of the car when it flips. They touch down in a river close by. As Julia scrambles to the coast, Henry follows closely behind. They start their journey back to civilization as the initial shock subsides. Later, our two make a brief stop close to Craigna Dun. To attain a sense of the terrain and the locations of the stones, Julia climbs the hill. Henry rushes to the stones to discover Julia gone when she doesn't answer his calls. Does this imply that Claire's parents are only trapped in the 18th century and survived their vehicle accident?